Flyover State of Film was shot in front of a live studio audience.
Hold on, I gotta go write damaged on my forehead. Give me a second.
Oh shit! I'm gonna go erase rotten from my chin. Just gonna take that off. Harley used some of that diamond money to get herself a little tattoo removal. Not all of them, but she classed it up a bit.
This is gonna hurt real bad. You said better keep all these things in.
Absolutely, 100% he should. So hey, welcome to our latest flyby. The two, I would say, slackers of the group. Let's just say it. But we need prodding, we need poking, we need encouragement. But we finally got ourselves together and scraped up a semi-topical topic that we wanted to talk about. The new Suicide Squad, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, came out a week or so ago, and to pretty much rave reviews. I mean, a couple of big douchebags who really just are like contrarians who are scraping the bottom of the barrel have said things like it was boring or whatever. Yeah. But we can talk about, we're not going to, whatever, we won't waste time on them. But I think, pretty much critical acclaim so far. Mm-hmm. I mean, aside from a few dissenting opinions and people who are just generally over comic book movies, I think.
Yeah.
So we thought we would talk about both Suicide Squads, and then I was like, well, what are we doing? There's a Harlogy here.
Yes.
I've tried to make that work a couple times. I don't think it works. I don't think it's great.
It to be fair, it does work because I think the way Joe will probably set this up, that'll look really good. But Harlogy, I think you nailed it with that one.
I'm going to coin the term, the Harlogy. So we thought we'd talk Birds of Prey also. So yes. I won't waste too much time. I wanted to make sure that I didn't retread a ton of the ground of people have talked to death about the 2016 Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. So I was just going to recap it real quick, a couple of big complaints that I've heard on several other podcasts, and then we can move through some other stuff. Does that sound good?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Did you have anything off the top of your head that was your biggest complaint about the original 2016? And to be clear, TJ watched the regular cut,
yes,
and I watched the extended cut, which I had never seen before, with mostly more Harley Quinn and Joker, but also the beginning of the movie is edited differently with some longer intros for characters.
Yeah,
everybody gets a little bit more of an intro, except Slipknot. They still telegraph that Slip. They didn't even try.
Wind Talkers is such a good movie, and they just kind of
Adam Beach is a great actor, and they could have at least done a better fake out where they treated him like the rest. They never say his name until they're like, oh yeah, this guy in the truck, Slipknot. And then it's and they start him out with punching a woman cop. So he's all,
well, to be fair,
he's done. He's out of here.
We're going to do this. We're going to talk David Ayer shit. And if we're going to mention the Ayer cut. So cheers.
I was also wondering maybe somebody who knows will see this and let me know, but does Ayer, has he ever said anything about the extended cut? Because I feel at the very least most of his footage is there, right? Maybe he would have cut it differently.
Those stupid interviews that come out with Jared Leto talking about, I think he did a Vanity Fair or something where he was talking about the roles. They do those things, and he kind of mentioned how even because we had the whole thing where Suicide Squad came out. It was completely different than what we saw in that first trailer. Everyone knows. They sent it to a place. It got cut up even more, turned to this crazy music wannabe Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. Because the people who did the edit of the final film that got released in theaters were literally like a music video and trailer house.
Yeah.
That's what they did. So
it was like one of those things where I think that came out. Everyone was kind of upset that didn't look like the very first trailer. Which again, I will give credit to that first trailer. If there's anything,
that's the
great
Bohemian Rhapsody trailer. Is that the one?
Yeah, and it's like the one where you get the ha ha in the back where you heard Jared Leto for the first time. He kind of just comes out of the shadows. It's real cut up. It's done real well. Then it gets like people say where it gets like firecrackers and like the colors and all that. I think when all that happened, Ayer maybe made a little bit of like a tiff about it. And then they were like, all right, well, extended cut. They did it with BVS when kind of the Snyder thing happened where he was like, well, it wasn't everything I wanted to do, blah, blah, blah. And then we all know what happened with that. Fucking don't want to say anything about that. But when it comes to like this, he kind of I think he definitely went on like Twitter and talked about it for a while. And I'm one of those guys. I love Fury. I was excited for this. I think like, when did Bright come out? Because I think Bright might have had something to do with.
Bright was after this. Bright was after Suicide Squad. So I'm wondering. And he also made another Shia LaBeouf movie that is quite bad. It's very poorly reviewed, but I never saw it.
Yeah,
no, I think so.
I haven't seen that either. So it's like one of those things where I think because there was a little because I don't know what it was. BVS started it with the extended cut thing. And then a lot of, I mean, you've always had director's cuts and all those type of things.
Oh yeah.
But I, like you were saying, you saw this. I've only seen the YouTube clips of the extended cut of this. So, like, you get more Jared Leto.
I'll tell you what my biggest thing, and I think I even threw up a tweet about this, is that, like, it's still got, like, the problems, like, the premise of this is a team supposed to be put together to fight somebody like Superman, but, like, mostly you've got bats and guns and one, like, heavy hitter. That doesn't fly. The type of movie it is as far as, like, the main difference here, is this 2016 version, like, they are sent in to fight a global threat. Right. In James Gunn's Suicide Squad, Task Force X is used the way you're supposed to use them. They're like an infiltration unit. They go in. They're supposed to, like, kill either one or a small group of people, or destroy something, or steal something, some kind of information. In the Justice League cartoon, it's like break into the Watchtower up in space and as crew. Yes, it ends in a big world-ending kaiju battle, but that's not why they're there. That happens. This is like, we took Task Force X and we put them up against a big powerhouse. That's not what they use Task Force. So again, all those problems still exist, but what I will say for the extended cut is, like, it feels like a movie. You know what I mean? Whereas the Suicide Squad that I remember was so chopped up and edited weird, and like you said, the like extra music, like the needle drops are still there too, but I think they're even more pervasive in that edit. And, like, I don't know, it just, at least at the bare minimum, it felt like it had a little room to breathe. You got more scenes with, like, Amanda Waller talking to Rick Flag and Rick Flag talking to June Moon, so that's fleshed out. You get more of an intro for all these characters.
Joel Kinnaman, by the way. Shout out Joel.
Yeah, I think I was saying
a lot of Sam Worthington flack.
Joel Kinnaman and Jai Courtney, no matter how these movies are received, both did them both some good. Goodwill for both those guys, good performances, and, like, people seem to generally, despite the problems, like both of them, and I agree. I'm actually one of those few RoboCop 2014 defenders. I exist.
We talked about this, yes, which maybe we could save for a future flyby.
But he's good in that. So I've always got a rooting for a guy like that. And but anyway, that's what I want to say about the extended cut. Is just that, if nothing else, it feels like a real movie, not like it was edited by Monster Energy Drink. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like, I want to go back to what you said about, like, so there's two ways I'm going to go pro and con. Pro, the casting for the characters, I think was pretty spot on. Obviously, you have the Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn, Will Smith's Deadshot, spot on. Then you have, like, throwaways like Killer Croc and
Killer Croc. Great makeup, but not big enough. He needed to be more like King Shark size. You know, that's another thing they added. He needed a little more bulk to him. But, like, the makeup effects and stuff were amazing.
Diablo is a great character that you actually see in the new, when it comes to New 52, Suicide Squad. He's a big member. But again, with what you said earlier that they kind of make fun of in the future one that we'll talk about in a little bit, These were originally supposed to be, if we're gonna, god damn it, Ayer cut. His whole thing was they were supposed to fight a bad Superman. Like, that's the whole thing. So you had no supernatural creatures other than Enchantress and then Diablo.
Which, to be fair, both are powered by magic, I assume, so would be good against Superman. Those are good. But, like, yeah, the rest of your team is not up to par. Not even close.
Yeah. They're throwaways, which weren't even... So you get the Slipknot...
Or they're people you would use on an infiltration mission, which is what Task Force is designed for. And because you're basing it on Task Force X from the comics, you feel obligated to put these characters that fans want to see in there, but it doesn't make sense for the story you chose to tell.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Anyone who actually watches this show, it wasn't Evil Superman. There was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be what's his face that was in Justice League, and it's supposed to be Parademons. No,
Darkseid.
No, the other one.
Steppenwolf, the other guy.
Steppenwolf.
Okay,
I think it was supposed to be Steppenwolf, and it was supposed to be Parademons. But then Justice League came in. They were like, "We're going to use him," so we had to switch everything around and make it Enchantress. Bad Superman was a James Gunn idea he had when he was first pitching this. That was my fault.
And then he ended up producing Brightburn.
Yes. Yeah. It's a fine movie. I watched Slither the other day. That was good.
I've had Super on my mind because of, obviously James Gunn shit.
Yeah. But like this one, like you kind of get where he gets like, handcuffed, where he has to do these. So the army, whatever the fuck the army is from the Enchantress, the eyes all over
Cathy Yan heads or whatever. Also, they show her changing them by kissing. She has to kiss there's so many of them. They fight so many of them, and you're telling me she had to kiss every single one of them?
Flag was pissed.
That's bananas, too. Yeah. She would spend all her time kissing. She'd never get her stupid Skybeam built because she'd be all like, oh, they would have to line up. Like, there's like hundreds of them. I don't know. It's dumb, but it threw me off.
Well, before we even get to that, I mean, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. Joker. Now, when I first went in this movie, I saw some theaters. Well, I walked out.
How did you feel about the look originally when it was revealed?
Oh, so what happened was when the first was revealed, like, I think a lot of these Twitter things came out where it was like, all the tattoos aren't real. It's like a anniversary thing where they're just throwing Joker anniversary things on, and it should be all wiped away. But then you realize it's actually him. That's how he looks. Dude, I went Facebook. I don't know if, I was...
What year was this? 2016, 2015, probably, when that picture came out?
It was his face on a white T-shirt, and just like doing that. Bought the T-shirt. Never showed up at my house ever. It was like a scam. Went and bought the Pop Funko because I just thought it was... I was annoyed at first, but I also kind of was like, they're doing their own thing.
Right, a swing. You know what I mean? It's the way I felt about Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. It's bad, but like they tried something. You can tell they like had an idea, maybe not a good idea, but like they took a swing at it or whatever. And I felt that way about this Joker too. Have you heard anything about I've heard this theory that like this was just like a phase the Joker was trying out, kind of being a gangster and doing a conventional gang thing, and like he had maybe done other, would probably abandon this and go back to whatever, his regular kind of style.
Well, he's doing like a gangster from each decade. It was just like he's doing the whole right.
Every time he gets out of Arkham, he's like he gets out of Arkham one time and he does like the full 70s pimp suit, purple, and
but it works because it's the Joker. He can do those things and pull anything off. So that's why I wasn't upset about it. It was just like all that background bullshit of him setting things, being a method actor. I don't really give a shit anymore about because supposedly he started those.
Oh, he's refuted it, and then he said he did it, and then he said he did the rumors. I don't care either. No, I will just say it's like when you look at the performance, though, I don't think it's there. You know what I mean? I'm like, like I said, I would forgive. I think I could forgive the idea if the performance was better.
And like the weird the one scene that always bothers me is like I don't give like the I'm gonna hurt you real bad and him doing the whole thing because they cut a lot of things out. Supposedly she was being like I don't. Regardless.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The scene. Okay, they have that scene and then the one in the club. The one in the club is so useless and pointless and doesn't tell anything about their relationship or their characters that like. And then like when you see the extended cut, the stuff they cut out. is all way better. Like, if you were trying to make us understand the Harley Joker dynamic, like, that's what you should have been showing us rather than, but you kept the scene in because it had Common in it, I guess. I don't know.
So,
like,
it was the
intro
whole scene
or whatever.
She brings him the Beanie Baby cat, and he's like, thank you. I need a machine gun. And just goes like 0 to like 5,000 seconds. She's like, a machine gun? All her medical degrees out the door. All of her fucking like conscience gone. She's like, sure. And then you get the whole like the break-in scene.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I guess I should watch the extended cut, but I walked out of this like if you go back, I bet you can go back now and find my tweet from walking out Suicide Squad, and I went, it wasn't as bad as everyone said it was, and then like 20 minutes later, I go, what the fuck did I just do?
I had that same kind of thing with Batman v Superman, where I walked out and I was like, it has its problems, but I had a good time with it. And then I was like, the more you think about it, you start to get like mad about the dumb. But like every time you pull at any thread in the movie, it starts to get fucked up, and you're like, oh no, this isn't good.
So I mean, we could probably I don't know, finish, but we can
wrap up on Suicide
Squad with like. Let's not shit. We shit on DCEU a lot on this channel.
Yeah, we do. So, that's fair. They deserve it, though.
Pull out. There's an obvious ones. Pull out your pros, and then I'll play off yours, and then we'll throw one con apiece before we move on.
I think there's an obvious one that everybody likes is the Enchantress change, where she grabs her own hand, it comes up through the fingers and flips over. But I have to do like the compliment sandwich thing where you say a good thing, but then you say shitty things on the outside, because I think it's super dumb that she has to say the word Enchantress to change back and forth, because she's supposed to be like a 6,000-year-old witch, and all the rest of the time when she's Enchantress, she's speaking some weird language. Why would her change word be Enchantress? That doesn't make any sense.
The Shazam effect.
Right. But at least Shazam has a meaning. Like, Shazam is like actually... the letters are the first name, first letter in the names of all these gods they're supposed to have the powers of. So it's dumb, but it's comic book dumb. I get it. But this is just like a thing where she would have a word that, some kind of thing that would have a scroll at the bottom, But I will say another positive, the design of her brother. That is a badass looking, of all the big gray villains that we get, that's a pretty dope one.
And probably a great, this be one of my pros, is that battle between him and El Diablo, which is a pretty...
Oh, the El Diablo reveal is so good. Probably the best moment in the movie.
And
he has the worst moment right before where he's like, this is my family. That is super dumb, and that does not hold up, no matter how much you extend that cut. And that's why I say, when people talk about the Ayer cut, that's what I always think is like, he still filmed what you saw, man.
Yeah.
Like, you can't unmake that performance or that writing. Like, that shit's still there. Like...
He was probably my favorite character as El Diablo. The casting, obviously, got Margot Robbie being Harley Quinn, that we'll talk about again in a minute. Do you think, forget the pros and cons. Do you think you get Will Smith ever again? Like a James Gunn sequel?
They clearly, Bloodsport, I almost feel like it's a meta joke in the movie that Bloodsport, that Idris Elba was clearly supposed to just be a recast of Deadshot. And then at the last minute, somebody was like, but what if we can get Will Smith back? What if this movie does good and he wanted to come back? What would we do? And they're like, we'll tweak him slightly. And they literally, they leave the daughter stuff in. They just give him a scene where they're not nice to each other instead of him being all loving all the time. But, his character could so easily be Deadshot. So I feel like that's a weird leftover. So I feel like whether we think so or not, somebody thought that the possibility could happen.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with it. So, do we grade these things in this stuff, or do we
No, we don't usually. When me and Yusuf do them, we don't usually rate them. I mean, if you would, would you say it's better, worse, the same than the last time you watched it?
It always gets worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that always gets worse, but if, I give myself a year and a half, maybe 2, I'll watch it for fun.
Well, I was just saying, if you come back to the extended cut, maybe. Because I would say, like I said, I was like you. I watched the extended, mostly Joker and Harley stuff. But what watching the YouTube scenes can't give you is, the pacing of a real movie.
Yeah.
And a movie that feels like it was edited by a grown-up. and like it has a purpose. And there's like scenes, there's smaller scenes that aren't just the Harley Joker stuff. There's like where she's kind of annoying everybody, but you're getting some exposition out, and it's like, you know, there's some good stuff. There's like more character development for her, because I was not a fan of her Harley Quinn in this movie at all.
Yeah.
I wasn't the whole, like, I just didn't like it. I was like, I'm not into this. I, you know, obviously literally came up on Batman the Animated Series and like grew up with Harley Quinn becoming a brand new character and then watching it grow and stuff. And it's like, so I don't know. I just wasn't really into what I was seeing, but I think there's more to her performance in the extended cut. And I think the way it's treated, if you're going to like anything, you'd probably like that better. You know what I mean?
Does she really surf on a motorcycle?
Yeah, she does. Okay.
That's fair.
Before I'm not saying that's definitely not good.
Okay. That scene's always got me because they
like I said, I don't think
seconds.
Those additions are as like what's important is like it has a little bit more room to breathe, you know. Yeah. But again, also, if you decided to never spend another 2 hours on Suicide Squad, I would be like, yeah, of course, don't waste your time. Go watch The Predator again, not The Predator. Go watch Predator, not The Predator. Sorry. This putting the in front of the movie, and it's a new movie, and I'm supposed to remember them both. All it does, I was complaining about this the other day, and I know it's a pedantic little bullshit thing, but all it does is add a part to any conversation where you're talking about those movies where you got to go, oh, do you mean the two, or no, I mean this one, by this director or this year, and like you can't have a fucking conversation about the movie because everybody's like, you have to like, Halloween. Oh, you mean the new one? Because it's also Halloween. No, 1978 Halloween. Oh, okay. And it's getting to be so many. All the franchises are doing it.
Dude, we're gonna. You know what's gonna happen is all three of you are gonna kick me out. And it's gonna be like the Flyover State of Film.
The Flyover.
Boom, nailed it.
We wouldn't kick you out. We would replace you
with the new director, maybe.
Oh, look out.
No, wait.
Is that a segue? There's no new director. It's a totally different person, unrelated in Birds of Prey. But literally, Margot Robbie, gotta give her respect, because she clearly loved that character enough. She used her star power to get Birds of Prey made, basically. She cashed in her goodwill across Hollywood and was like, I'm sticking with this. I think there's more to this. And I think she was right. What do you think about Birds of Prey?
This is the Spice World of this generation, man. Like,
I think I need to know how you feel about Spice World to understand.
I love Spice World.
Okay, I've never seen it because remember I'm older than
you. Just everyone be ready. TJ picks the next movie in Flyover State of Film.
Hell no, man! I'll quit the podcast.
I actually have a movie already set up aside. It's not Spice World, but if anyone ever watched Spice World, it's a really good movie. But it's like I don't know what it was. Who's the director?
Oh, you know what? I didn't even look up their name. I can though. I'll do a Joe and get him on. You keep talking, and I'll do a Joe.
But like this one is kind of like with what a lot of the DCEU had to do is kind of a cleanup almost. They didn't clean up a lot, but they use the same characters, almost like the Suicide Squad, where it's essentially giving the characters new arcs and stuff like that. So like this one, obviously, because of the first one, everyone's hatred towards what we got compared to everyone's love to it. Margot Robbie comes back as Harley Quinn. She's going through a breakup with the obvious Jared Leto Joker. They kind of like touch on it here and there with cartoons and somewhat back, like
they give you a little bit of backstory with an animated opening, which I love a good animated opening.
Yes. Oh yeah. So
that's
it's
fun.
Like a Roger Rabbit style, like type of thing. If anyone's
Cathy Yan.
Yes.
Y-A-N.
Yes. So this one is like a very like female forward, like let's take it back. Let's own it. So because DC, if you ask me, has some of the strongest female characters you can find in comic books.
Yeah, they don't just line them up at the end of their Boy Fest movie. They actually gave Harley Quinn and some real girl characters a film to be in.
So, like with this movie, I think Birds of Prey was a huge step up. It gave me a couple characters. It gave me excitement for, which is kind of like backtracking what I just said. But like, I see a Black Canary, and my thoughts are, there's a green fucking arrow in here somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I was a big fan of the choice of the characters for this, because Birds of Prey, like any DC team, has a wide roster to kind of choose
Yeah.
from over the years, and you can kind of pick and choose. Excuse me, I did think it was weird the way they use Cassandra Cain, because it kind of feels like they just wanted to use a name fans recognize, but that character is so different. I mean, you really and they didn't really, the character they showed us in no way it's impossible for that person to become the one from the comic books. They could not do it. They literally cannot do it.
It will be like almost.
You have to go back in time and be raised different.
Yeah. It would almost be like a Red Hood style where she has to have
Although I do have it in my notes, because this movie ends with, spoiler alert, Harley taking Cassandra Cain kind of under her wing.
Yeah.
But then the Suicide Squad starts with Harley back on the team, and he's like, "Oh, how'd you end up back in prison?" And she's like, whatever, I robbed a bank or whatever the fuck. And then, but what happened to Cassandra? Who knows? Maybe she's off training with ninjas now, so maybe she can come back as that character.
But even the casting of the detective, God, please help me out here.
Oh, Rosie Perez.
My heart. I'm sorry, Rosie, but the fun stuff
Montoya,
they did with
that's
Huntress.
A character from Renee Montoya, great character that I've again back in the MA series, but she's in the comics too, and later went on in the comics to become the second version of a character called The Question.
Ooh. Well, spoilers. I didn't know that. Jesus, man.
You plan on reading I was going to read all the comics. Don't tell me anything.
Going back to the New 52 is fun, because there's some things you definitely miss, and they use characters that I bet you see in the future. But regardless, I will give complete credit to Ewan McGregor in this fucking movie. Black Mask is something that if I ever saw him on film, I would have thought you'd get from Christopher Nolan's Batman's a mob boss, some type of maybe facial issue, but
they probably would have started him with the mask, maybe never even have him, and never see him out of the mask.
Never see him, but that character, and then
that's how I've seen him mostly portrayed with an Italian accent, kind of that New York style,
And
this was much more interesting than that,
because you've seen him on film a couple times, and also in the TV shows and stuff like that. But Victor Zsasz is one of my favorites too, and this one they did do a complete change. Obviously, they went from the serial killer who just.
This is like the Cassandra Cain thing. They wanted a name you recognize, and they knew they could do something visually that would make him easy to identify. You know what I mean, with the scars.
That would remind me of a young Peter Stormare.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But the thing is, it's I like that relationship between him and Black Mask. That's really good, and I like the characterization and everything. But I do feel it's one of those things where it's especially since they end up, again, spoiler, killing them both off by the end of the movie, it feels a little bit wasted, It
does. And because you won't see them later if they do any more of these. Because, it's pretty open book, but you don't know where you're going to get with DCEU, because multiverses, you're going to get a little bit of everything. But, the scene with the snot bubble is probably one of my favorite fucking scenes. That reminds me of a Django Unchained type of thing, where it's oh, we'll let this one go. And he's like, is that a fucking snot bubble? You know what? Do it. He's like, what? Those things is because,
yeah, that's funny. He's good. He's really good. And then they do get the scene in there where he makes the girl strip, and it's he's scary and it's uncomfortable, and it gives you enough to be don't like this character too much. You know what I mean? It's weird that showing him cutting off faces wasn't enough. They needed to do something different to make him more unlikable. But I think they balanced him out a little bit, because I do feel you almost wouldn't take him seriously enough without that scene. He didn't. Yeah. He was a little too much fun.
This movie's heavy Easter eggs that don't mean anything too. The end fight scene where it's in a carnival warehouse. You wish you might see a character, or maybe you don't because you're sick of that character. But then the hyena for Harley, which is a big thing in the comic books now, and the mallet comes back, the baseball bat, the difference in the clothes where they change the
I have to say, the one thing I give Birds of Prey over both the other movies is I like Harley when she fights more with like gimmick weapons and acrobatics and stuff, more than when they just make her John Wick and she's just shooting everybody. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
the thing is, everybody in the Suicide Squad, like 70% of the Suicide Squad are guys who shoot good. So I don't need Harley to also do that. Like, give her, let her do the acrobatics thing. Let her do like the blunt object thing. I like when she went into I love when she had she was using like the canister, like tear gas gun with all the gimmick canisters when she takes the police station. That's a really cool
That reminds
scene.
me of like Terminator 2 type stuff where he just shooting the canisters at the cops, stuff like that. But even they use that, like to throw back with you, we'll go back to Suicide Squad. She kind of reminds me of the character from The Predator, again, not The Predator, where he just kind of goes off when he sees his buddy get killed. I can't remember the fuck, and he just takes the gun and the minigun through the woods. That's how Harley. I want to see her use like artillery weapons because it makes more sense. But she's like, "Bats, you ruined date night." She just shoots through the roof, not knowing, but like,
you want to see her just spray wildly.
I don't need to shoot it off this wall, and then hit him in the head like
all headshots. Like I said, they do too much John Wick shit in her escape in the Suicide Squad. Like that scene's really cool, but it's much better once she gets the javelin back. I'm the same way with you. I like this one a lot. I will say, this is like DC has this problem. The kind of a lot of the edits that got made to the 2016 Suicide Squad were in response to the success of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And then you definitely feel the vibe of the shadow of Deadpool over Birds of Prey.
All of it, yeah.
You've got her as the kind of unreliable narrator. You've got the nonlinear storytelling, which is a fine idea, but I don't think it's executed super well in this movie. I think it's a little bit confusing.
You could use a lot of the Bertinelli mob stuff in a different movie if you were going to use, Winstead again as the Huntress because they go back and forth.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about Hollywood power couple Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth Winstead in this one.
Wait, they're dating in this?
Oh, they're together. They've been together. He broke up his marriage and like left his wife for her. And they were in that's when they were in Fargo together.
Farfield Lane a lot, but that end was sucked. Yeah.
Oh. That's like 80% of an A+ movie. So
yes, 100%.
I just turn it off after she gets out of the bunker. I'm like, yep, movie's over.
I don't need to see anything else.
She made it. Cool.
These fake Ghostbuster demon dogs coming out of nowhere. You're like, God damn it.
No, go ahead. I think I interrupted.
Oh, I was gonna say like this movie has a lot of those things and the characters. This is what these movies do. And again, not to go back, but Suicide Squad, like you've read comic books or watched Batman animated series. You've seen these villains. DC has probably the best villain rogues gallery of any type of written history or comic books and stuff like that.
The only Marvel character that comes close is Spider-Man, probably.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind you on that. I can't think of any because they also use those villains for other fucking superheroes in the comic books. Same thing with this one. But DC EU knows how to take names, regardless if they do the characters right or not, and just cram into a movie. So when you see that,
they know fans like things they recognize.
I hear Killer Croc, I think, all right, I played Batman Arkham Asylum, great fucking part of the thing. You see him in the video game and stuff like that. But like then you see him on film, and sometimes you're disappointed. In this one, I wasn't so much disappointed. Huntress was more of like a comedic thing when it should have been more serious, but also.
I like that is a funny bit though. It's like I understand that it's different, but the idea that she's like an excellent killer and like a killing machine, but she's too awkward. She like grew up with two dudes training her to kill. She's not like used to talking to people and being around people.
Like, give me your two best killers from The Sopranos.
Yeah. Oh,
they're raising him.
Furio. Yeah, like Furio's up there for sure.
I bet you they're overweight and probably love Brazil, but like, you know what I mean? I don't see them doing flips with a crossbow and shooting it and shit like that. So there's ways you can go back and do those type of characters. Like maybe you see these characters more. Damn, that sucks because no spoilers, but like we'll talk about this later. Suicide Squad. A lot of people thought this certain character was going to die because they didn't think she wanted to come back.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I mean, there's a good chance we're going to see some more of.
I would say that was my main complaint about the Suicide Squad is that, like, they were liberal with the deaths, but, like, there was 3 people that you knew weren't going to die, and they didn't die. And it's like, man, if you would have had the balls to do one of them, like...
Just do one. And after
Yeah.
they would, because, like, give her a little bit of break and go back and blah, blah, blah. But, like, again with this one, other than Cassandra Cain, which I'm sure you might see again, she reminds me of, like, how they use the kid in Deadpool 2.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, like, let's see if they come back again in some type of thing, because supposedly Ryan Reynolds is going to come back Deadpool. But, I don't know. I'm a big fan of this one. It was fun.
I'll tell you what I really like a lot, and I think the extended cut of Suicide Squad helped this a lot, because the more relationship stuff you get
Joker stuff
with Joker, the more it means when she's like coming into when the whole idea of Birds of Prey is her like coming into her own and not needing anyone and standing on her own 2 feet and everything. That means a lot more when you have more context. So that was cool. I'm trying to think of other things. I take too many notes. So many notes.
You could just keep it in your brain.
Well, yeah, I get the headaches, and then I have to give myself small cuts. I was laughing. I like Harley Quinn a little. I thought it was funny. It was a little inconsistent. She has the great fight scene they kind of split it up, and this was very Deadpool 2, like where they actually split one fight scene into a couple scenes by breaking it up and doing non-linear stuff, and you kind of see. But I like where she has kind of the inadvertent coke-fueled like rage, where it kind of rains down on her, and then she gets. But then I also that's funny. So you're near the end of the movie. It's like we've seen Harley Quinn take out rooms of trained dudes at this point, bikers and like all these other guys, and then drunk Rosie Perez shows up, and it's like a real struggle for Harley to handle drunk Rosie Perez.
I'm also thinking, like, in that jail scene, like, with the coke, like, why was a child in jail cells with men?
They had her, like, right across from those dudes.
Like, unless it was a setup, which I might have could have been from Cianis, but Rosie Perez in this is, like, when she shows up and does the whole, like, house scene, they're like, everyone's up front. She just, like, the whole circle, like, Avengers style, when Harley skates and everything like that. Rosie Perez still has it, man.
Oh, absolutely. When they reveal that she did put on the Harley Quinn bustier, and they're like, I love that. There's so many great little, and I've heard, I got to listen to a couple podcasts back when it came out, with some actual like female fans on it, which is nice. I mean, sometimes it's nice to hear a girl say things, and there's so many moments that they talked about, like about the whole protect the girl, that line, the one where she hands her the hair tie in the fight at the end because her hair's. They were like, I love that. It was like so many people's favorite moment, like something that really stuck with them.
Was a good moment.
And little character stuff like that. When the Huntress gives Cassandra Cain the little car that her brother gave her. Like little character moments like that are what's missing from the 2016 Suicide Squad. That's why you can't connect to any of those characters like you should. Even the guy who killed his family, because the way they deliver it, they don't like give you. They don't give you like an emotional tether. They just sits down at a bar and like tells you the story.
This movie even like leaves out like the metahuman like side of the comic books until
aside from Black Canary,
but they save it for that one moment where she's like, "You gotta let it go," and you're like.
And they imply that her mother was like the original Black Canary, maybe.
Yes, because Dinah. God damn, it's gonna fuck me up. And then she's the next one. I love Green Arrow, but when she
and also none of these movies are ever slavish to the comic books too. So like in the Harley Quinn world of Birds of Prey, her mother could be an original Black Canary that doesn't even exist in the comics. That could just be an idea, so they can explain that like why Dinah looks different. Why they because they wanted to cast a black actress and and spice up their movie more.
Sick.
Oh, Jurnee Smollett is so good. She's great in this.
Shout out Full House.
I can't believe she did so much action in like a halter top. Like that's not. that seems difficult. That seems
Did you know her uncle is Little Richard?
Oh, nice. I didn't know her brother is the guy who they say faked his like an attack, that racist attack or whatever.
Yeah, we don't talk about that guy.
Yeah, he's in Alien Covenant. I didn't notice till after, because to me he was just like a throwaway background guy. And then like I went back and watched Alien Covenant, and he had been in the news, obviously, and I was like, oh shit, it's that guy.
That's fair. All right, now Yusef, give us a second because we're gonna think of a good transition.
I was gonna say, let me look at my notes to make sure I don't have anything
Oh
specific
yeah.
left to say.
If you do, think of a transition from it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one thing I did want to make sure I note is the very end after the big fight. I like them sitting around the diner having their like complimenting each other, and like it felt like the scene in Pineapple Express where they're like eating at the very end.
He's falling asleep. He's like,
yeah, he's like, oh, I lost a lot of blood.
He's like, sorry, man, I'm having iron deficiency now.
That's not a good transition. I will say I brought out some little toys. I don't know if you can see them. I have these little we started getting them when Harrison was little, but DC makes these little guys, and I have a couple of the Suicide Squad people, and even a couple of the Birds of Prey. None of the characters.
Pick those out. Ready? So I got. Is that Katana?
Yep, Katana's up there.
Deadshot.
Yep.
Killer Croc.
Yep, Killer Croc, and then these got a couple down here.
Black Mask.
Of course, yeah.
Who? Oh, is that the who's the yellow and black guy? Is that
over here? You're talking about over here?
That one.
That is their version of Cassandra Cain.
Oh, what the heck? Okay.
That's the toy version of her.
Is that Lex Luthor?
No, you got Black Canary.
Oh,
in her regular blonde woman form.
Yeah.
And then Huntress.
Oh. I like those.
But I got those. We started collecting when Harrison was little, and they've kind of stopped. I think they might, the line might be kind of done. I haven't seen any new ones in a while, but there aren't any characters recognizable enough from the new Suicide Squad to have been made into a toy. There's like nobody.
I mean, King Shark.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. This set, there is a King Shark. I have not been able to locate it. Well, that's not fair. If I want to spend like $50 on eBay, I could get one.
So you haven't located
not worth it.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Not gonna say I've never spent money on some of these things, but I got my limits.
One of the, by the way, Sigourney Ripley, when the loader is one of the first toys I ever had as a kid.
I have Walmart recently released like a kind of like cheap version of Alien toys, but I like that they're cheap because I don't feel bad about tearing them out of the box and actually playing with them and looking at them. And they got a little loader that came with them. It's pretty dope.
Dude, sometimes I'll take a bath and I'll have like a King Shark toy and like a Weasel toy, but Weasel can't swim.
Nice. I like that.
Good,
that was a great bit. I'll tell you what. I like the way the new Suicide Squad wasn't afraid to do the character deaths. We all knew that James Gunn was going to have fun with that. I do wish that it wasn't so obvious. There were so many people that even from the first trailer you were like, they're not going to make it. And then the first time you sit down to watch the movie and you realize all those characters on one team and you don't see any of the more famous characters. They do try to they kind of try to fool you with Joel Kinnaman and Harley, but everyone else on that team is like a total throwaway.
Yeah. Well, that's
so you kind of know what you're in for. Like I would have loved just a little bit more of a surprise. But some of the ways people die and how it plays out is still great. The Weasel one was an amazing way to start it.
Because you get the weird intro of Savant and you assume that you see James Gunn's people he's worked with, which is Michael Rourke. You would assume that he'd be in the main team, but he was probably one of my favorite parts where he just freaks out.
I love because he keeps calling everybody amateurs, and he's all Rick Flag knows him. They know each other, so he's clearly been an old soldier or whatever, and he just is immediately ah! I like that. There's a lot of bits in this first little 10-minute chunk that really hit for me. I know some people were like, oh, the comedy didn't hit. Oh, if only if you I guess you like James Gunnisms. So I guess I'm a basic bitch who still likes James Gunnisms. But there is some funny shit. I'm well on the record as not being a Pete Davidson guy, but when he freaks out about the werewolf, when he thinks it's a werewolf, when he's a werewolf, and he's like panicking. That's funny. And then obviously the quick death, which is like a joke that clearly him and James Gunn are in on. You know, like I was like, oh, great casting of Pete Davidson as a guy who sucks.
And like
Amazing.
even, like they can really like drops the toilet paper next to Bloodsport, but like the that whole walk up that you got from the trailer and like all the intros were like Javelin and Mongrel. Was it Mongrel or Mongrel?
Mongal.
Gal. Sorry, she's
actually
Mongol's
supposed to be the
daughter.
daughter of a Superman villain, Mongol.
Yeah, Mongol. Yeah. And then who else?
Who is like an
DK.
intergalactic superhuman like powerhouse who can go toe to toe with Superman. So I was kind of wondering if Mongal might make it, but guess not. I mean, she's strong enough to pull down a helicopter, but if you pull it down on top of yourself, not so good.
Not so good. I think Nathan Fillion was like one of the best ones where
that
like,
is the funniest joke.
Because you think it's gonna be like badass. He's like, and then he's like,
but it's like because they wouldn't have any leverage. You can't throw a punch.
Yes, there's no body.
You don't have. So they're just like it's just annoyance. They're just like slapping.
He's like giving wedgies and shit. It's like, what the fuck are we doing here? And then even like his death when he's get the arms are getting shot and he's just
he's just writhing on the ground. Yeah. There's some good stuff there. I guess you would say the one surprising death would be Captain Boomerang, but I don't think it was surprising that it happened more how brutal it was. Like, but they did let him throw a couple boomerangs in this one, which is something they did not let him do. Every fight was him using them as knives, him and Killer Croc fighting these guys one at a time for some reason, even though like everybody else is shooting guns and just like wasting. So, but it's like, oh, good thing we got Killer Croc and Boomerang on the team so they can stab old Caviar Head. Sorry, I know we're onto the back. I didn't mean to go back, but
well, no, even like when he has the whole like intro because they show you that like him and Harley are on the team, so you're like, okay, not bad. And then they had the Javelin and Harley part, great spot where she gets her weapon.
Well, because I already knew, like, because you have too much information about movies these days, and you know that like in your mind. Yeah, it's cool to see those people there from the other movie, but in your mind you're like, but that's Jai Courtney, and nobody gives a shit about Jai Courtney. So they're gonna kill his ass. Like,
I thought he would at least last like mid of like main
like
mission,
he would make it to the main mission.
Yeah. But then you realize everything's just been like a little bit of a ruse, and now the real team is coming up on the other side of the island, and probably one of the, I mean, because they do the jail stuff right. Because in the first one, when like Will Smith and Ike Barinholtz have like their moments, and that's pretty fun.
Ike Barinholtz has too much to do in that movie.
Too much. In this one, it's like
I like the guy, but too much.
Yeah, but I think in this one you get a little bit too much with the Steve Agee character. I like him.
Also, because he was King Shark, you mean?
Well, that too, but like he's the freaking kaiju thing's fun, but like it also is like something you're gonna see and hear.
They could have split his lines among the other people in the room. Like Blonde Girl could have had a couple of his lines. The lady who ends up hitting Amanda Waller could have
had no lines almost.
Right,
and then all of a sudden comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, like she should have had. They should have at least cut to her more often with a concerned look, but they gave all the concerned looks and lines to Steve Agee and. Who I like and who's good. Yeah. But yeah, then we didn't talk about Amanda Waller when we talked Suicide. And I will just say, in that movie and this one, ideal casting.
Spot on.
It was great. Angela Bassett was in the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern as Amanda Waller, and she would have been great too. Yep. She didn't get enough to do in that one, and she would have been great if she had gone on. But you cannot. I mean, Viola Davis is incredible and like scary at times, and when she like yells at people, it's scary.
What if Amanda Waller was just like a James Bond thing, where like everyone's 007 if you're doing the role,
and they're all Amanda. Well, now like I said, now that multiverses are becoming the thing, everything's going to be connected to everything.
Back. Dude, that would be so sick if Bassett came back, but she's like, anyway.
But I just want to say, Viola Davis, great casting and does a great job in both movies.
So, but like, her team in this one is more like they kind of remind me almost of, what's the movie by, Cabin in the Woods, where it's like, Richard Jenkins and, what's his face is like behind the scenes watching the
Bradley
thing.
Whitford,
They kind of they're doing the bets, like the whole like they kind of just like took that, kind
Yeah.
of went with it.
Oh, James Gunn borrows quite a few things in this
Yeah.
movie, I would say.
Wait, did they do Toxic Avenger? Is someone watching like a Toxic Avenger like show during the movie, or is that Slither? Never mind, that's Slither. I was watching Slither. Yeah. But anyway, James Gunn borrowing not a big deal for me.
No, not a big deal
Here's what
for
he's
me
doing.
at all. But I just noticed a few things. Specifically, there's the moment right at the very end in the big battle. Bloodsport goes full Captain America, and he's like, take the high ground. He's like King Shark, Hulk smash.
Well, even like that, like bring it back to the first Suicide Squad, where it's all a bunch of like hands and guns. Like they make fun of that right away in this one, Peacemaker and him, where he's just like,
he does the same thing I do.
He was raised by so and so, and he's by a soldier since he was a kid. He was like, he does what I do. Like I do it better. He's like, I use smaller bullets. Small bullets would mean anything, and then
Yeah, right. And then they pay that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, how much do you want? I guess I didn't really think about spoiling it. The thing is, with this being available on HBO Max, I feel like it's open season on movies like that anymore. Like maybe if it was only theatrical, you would give people a week or two, but
there's only a couple people that can make me like. I'm a big John Cena guy when he was the villain rapper in the WWE.
I was going to say that this movie is John Cena's only truly successful heel turn.
Yeah, well, like this and Bumblebee, where I'm like, I like the guy. I haven't seen like his comedic stuff in.
He's in Sisters with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, which is underrated, I think. What is it?
The cock blockers. Didn't see.
I didn't see Blockers either, but I heard it was really good, and he has a bigger role in that too. So he has a little role in Trainwreck too.
Yeah, I mean I think it's him just playing himself too.
Right, it's more like a cameo. Yeah.
But like those things I haven't seen, were like the guy's kind of got it. If you ask me, again,
absolutely.
I'm gonna be the
guy.
guy.
All great wrestlers do. Like the reason that great wrestlers are good at what they do is because they have natural charisma and they know how to talk to crowds and deliver lines and deliver jokes. And they have comedic timing. Like it never surprises me when a professional wrestler is good at acting, because that's what professional wrestling is for the most part. It's like stuntmen who also have to act.
Yeah, shout out one of our latest episodes of Flyover State of Film. We're talking about The Rock. I love you, The Rock. You're the best, The Rock. WB don't shut us down.
Although you should class up and do some classy movies like Batista. You ain't been in no James Bond movie.
Damn, he said it. When it comes to that, though, talk about classy movies, casting. We talked about the first Suicide Squad casting and how great it was, even though some of those characters didn't hit. This one, maybe every character hit, if you ask me.
Yeah.
There's King Shark is my
the Sylvester Stallone thing is gimmick casting, because it doesn't matter. Anybody could have done that voice. The lines are very funny. They make King Shark very funny. Although, again, I can't lie, James Gunn's stealing from himself a little bit. He's basically just Groot without an interpreter. He just interprets for himself.
But like, did that one scene where he has with all those little suckers, fun.
No, see, I have that on my criticism list. Yeah. I think that's a dumb, pointless scene that doesn't do anything. I'm like, I feel like they just wanted to find a way to give King Shark some battle damage so he looked cool. So he looked different at the end of the movie.
I was going to say, before that, remember like in Guardians of the Galaxy where they're walking through nowhere and the little pickpocketers and Quill's like, watch out, keep your pockets. And then Groot gives them a flower. There's one moment. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's what it was, until he got to where it went to like straight.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, and then they had to James Gunn it. They had to be like, we can't just let a little scene sit. We have to
shout out my crush. My goodness gracious, I'm gonna butcher this. Daniela Melchior.
Ratcatcher 2.
Woo! But her and Nanawe's relationship, King Shark.
Well, and shout out to Sebastian too. You can't take away like some great comedic beats for Sebastian.
Yeah. Also, he was voiced by the kid who actually played Stuart Little.
He had a voice?
I made that up. I made that up.
I had a question about Ratcatcher. Like, I know her dad is heroin addict Taika Waititi, um, and that like but like you can't, you don't. How do I say this? You don't inherit heroin addiction, and they make her look like a junkie. Like she's always
Sleeping.
she's always nodding off. She's got the big heroin chic circles under her eyes and stuff.
I had the
Like
best
I was,
dream
I
last
was,
night.
it
You mean
was
you were
like,
high?
yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
get it. You got a candle and a spoon. Okay, we get you.
I didn't even think about it that way. But also, you wouldn't be like, you wouldn't put a
She's
bad
good.
face
She's
on
really good in
Yeah,
this,
great.
and but I just thought that was weird.
I'll clean Ratcatcher 2 up any day. Come over. We'll hang out.
You'll help her get
Yeah, I'll help
clean.
you out. Yeah, you know. Along with her and King Shark, it's kind of like with this one, you didn't think it would be the obvious ones, but I feel like it was the obvious ones from the trailers, from the
Yeah.
jump start. Maybe that hurt it a little bit because there wasn't a surprise. There's no surprise in this. Like,
No, I mean,
Polka Dot Man.
like I said, some of the ways people die, and I was kind of, I mean, I think we talk about it in, we did our, on one of our flyover episodes, we did a prediction of who we thought would survive, and I think I said Polka Dot Man because in the trailer they have that moment where he's like, I'm a superhero, and it's like, to me, that was so telegraphed that I felt like they were pulling a fake out on me,
Yeah.
and it ends up not obviously being that,
Yeah.
but
That's where I'm at too, because he was a great character. The way they used his mom, like I never really read a comic ever with Polka Dot Man, even New 52.
he's super obscure. Yeah, I mean, he's
Yeah.
real, like, probably like, I mean, he'll be in a lot of comics now, I guarantee it, but he, I don't
I
think
want
he
to
had
write a Polka Dot Man solo movie. Ay.
I did think though it was funny they gave Polka Dot Man. You almost could do a Polka Dot Man show because they kind of did. It's
Yeah.
called the Umbrella Academy, a
Yeah.
show where an abusive parent basically turns his kids into superheroes against their will. That's the Umbrella Academy.
All see is fucking. I want to know what his sister's doing, or if she's around. Maybe
I'll
she's
tell you
Beer
what though,
Master.
I wasn't when I first so like the first time I'm watching the Suicide Squad, and the first time he's like, where's your mom now? And he's like, she's everywhere. And they cut back and it's all the moms. I wasn't sure how I felt about it. Then the second time, when he's dancing and they pan around and then it's the moms, and there's even one that's like a bearded guy and it's a mom and it's everybody, right? I was like, okay. And then the third time, I was like, holy shit, perfect rule of threes.
Yep.
Like, perfectly executed comedy.
It's
like,
your mom.
Yeah, and then when they cut to her and smash it, it's so funny. And I was like, wow, okay, they it's one of those things where I wasn't sure it worked, and I thought maybe it was too dumb or too far, and I was like, nope, you got me, James Gunn. And like I said, I guess I'm just a basic bitch who likes James Gunn comedy because it's funny.
Do you ever think that like John Connor just sees it like Sarah Connor everywhere on every T800 and just like Polka Dot Man's everybody?
Yeah, exactly. Like, the face of your abuser, man.
Yeah, it's like
generational trauma.
Like Mexico. Like what? Like this kid knows Mexican and knows how to fucking break into credit cards all of a sudden. Like anyway, this movie for me, I was excited for it with the director getting it because I think he got this once he got fired, right?
Well, yeah, right. He got Twitter canceled.
Yeah.
They fired him from Marvel. He got this, and then they rehired him at Marvel and was like, no, we'll wait. Do your Suicide Squad movie, and then you can come back and do. Although, I did hear some more weird shit this week. I won't bring it up, but I was like, it wasn't like, again, it was, it might have even come out during the whole tweet thing too, but it was a case of just, it's bad taste. He didn't do anything wrong. I don't think James Gunn ever committed any crimes, except the crime of bad judgment and bad taste, Well,
that's what happens when you do trauma movies.
Well, and we all, I mean, you were there, I was there. The early 2000s were all about edginess. That's why every DVD had an unrated cut with extra boobs and extra swearing. I mean, it was all about how far can you push the envelope, and the more offensive it is, the more funny it is, and like, so I get it. I think we've all grown up, and I think
100%.
I think you got to give James Gunn that chance also,
And the guy's proved himself over and over again that he has heart. plays
And he
her
did
on
what
film.
mattered. He acknowledges it. He's like, that was dumb. But that's that's all that matters. Like, just take some fucking responsibility.
Shout out Sean Gunn, too.
Sean Gunn as Calendar Man. Love that.
Yep,
Love a good Calendar Man.
I
saw people online mad about the portrayal of Calendar Man, and I'm like, get a fucking life, nerd.
You're not gonna see him in the Long Halloween. Like, shut the fuck up, all right?
The Long Halloween animated movie just came out. Go watch that.
Go watch it. Go have fun with it, man. And you know what? That's not gonna be Sean Gunn. It's gonna be somebody else's voice. It's like Michael Rosenthal, whatever the fuck it is, Rosenbaum. But for when it comes to Suicide Squad, the new one, are we ranked? There's no ranking. Is there ranking?
Well, I mean, if you want to rank the franchise like 1, 2, 3, but I feel like it's too easy. I feel like, I mean, unless you were such a huge fan of Birds of Prey that you maybe think that's better than the Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're a Harley Quinn fan, you might like that better.
What are we kind of fucked up for not mentioning Starro?
Well, we even mentioned a couple things. We don't have to finish. I wanted to talk about Harley for a second. We're doing the Harlogy. We need to talk about Harley Quinn. She's great in this. They have a good little arc for her, although it does feel more like a studio mandate. Like, she didn't have to have her own side adventure. You could have just had her with the team and just had her kind of riding along. But because Margot Robbie's a big star and she had her own movie, and they give her kind of a little side plot where she gets captured and then rescues herself, and then they come to rescue her and she has a little moment with them. But spoiler alert, we're just going to spoil this shit because we're about to talk about the whole rest of the movie. So spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. When she shoots the president, because they're all like in love and they have sex, and then he starts talking about his basically grand scheme and turns around and she just plugs him right in the chest. That was great. I mean, that's a great Harley Quinn moment. And it pays off her growth from Birds of Prey. If you've been watching this, if you treat this like a trilogy, she grew into her own person and like realized that like she can be a crazy killer and be a bad guy, but she still should have respect for herself. She doesn't have to tie herself to a toxic man. This is the payoff of that.
And also like the forced marriage. Like, my family wants me to marry someone that's respected, and you're just like, it was also quick enough to where you knew something was going to happen.
Oh yeah.
But I thought he was going to get killed by accident by Bloodsport. Just like
that's another thing we didn't talk about, the accident on the scene. Yes. Oh, that's such a good scene with where they kill all the guys in the camp, and then it ends up being they were the resistance guys. That's hilarious.
When Peacemaker's walking up and he just stabs the guy while he's
the guy who's sleeping, he's just like chop 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 chop.
I was like, oh, okay, James Gunn's really doing it. I'm in. Yeah. All in right now.
Really funny. That was some really good stuff.
So it's Alex Braga?
Alice Braga, yeah.
From
Predators.
Yes. And also, is she from the new X-Men one? What was the new X-Men?
New Mutants. Yeah, she's in New Mutants. She's the bad guy. Absolutely. I like the fight scene between Rick Flag and Peacemaker a lot. I like the part where it's reflected in the helmet. That was like a cool shot. I like that. That was fun. I know I've seen that in things before, but that's fine.
Well, they did that with Savant scene in the very beginning off the puddle when
kind of.
Ball.
But I like that. I like that kind of Rick Flag is outmatched physically, but he's like smarter and like better, tactically better and stuff. Like it's good. It's a good fight.
And then like the whole Starro thing with him being caught by like the U.S.
the Americans taking pictures with him and shit.
Yeah, and then like he just fucks them all up. Like, it does kind of give you like, I'm not a theme guy. I'm not like an undertone guy. I'm not one of those like, this is deeper than what we thought it would be. But like, excuse me, it's like it kind of shows you that like it was lost. We took it in and then fucked it up.
Oh, absolutely. Oh man, you 100% nailed it. There's actually some of that in the other Suicide Squad too. I was thinking about like the American government has the Enchantress. She's like this super powerful sorceress. They're basically just using her as a teleporter.
Yeah.
Like it's like the short-sightedness of the American government where they're like, well, here's a function that you can serve for me right now, rather than like taking in the scope of what she's capable of or anything. And then 100% Starro is incredible. And we can talk a little bit more about him. but in the end, he has a line about how I was happy just floating, staring at the
Yeah.
stars. And, like, it's such a tragic moment of, like, yeah, we just took this creature that wasn't bothering anybody and fucked with it and tortured it and the thinker tortured it for 30 years. And, like, it definitely fully centers the government and, like, Amanda Waller as the villain of the movie.
Yeah.
Like,
As should be, because in the first
worse
one,
than the Suicides, worse than anyone in the Suicide Squad, and worse than the kaiju kicking over buildings is still American imperialism. So there you go. It's funny. TJ was like, not to get all, and then just like hammered in the point of the movie, which is like, I don't want to. He tries to play off he likes his role as like, I'm just the dumb guy, but he gets it.
I see things, and also I watch Mr. Sunday movies, regardless. You know what I mean? But like those type of things, like, because Starro, like in the comics, they have the cool scenes where he's throwing King Shark, and like you get the comic book cover where he has every Justice League member in his tentacles, stuff like that. But I'm kind of glad what they did with this one is same with the first one is they had no like. There was no backing down from murdering those people, knowing that maybe if we just killed Starro, the starfish would fall off.
They fully established, they went out of their way to establish that, and I thought it was good. It didn't disappoint me because it made it so that we didn't get any, because one of the classic things with Starro is that, a Starro gets on Superman, and now we have to deal with Superman. Starro gets on a Justice Leaguer, and now we got to deal with that. And having it that when a Starro got on you, that's it. You're just part of the hive, and you're basically dead. Made it so that you couldn't really. I mean, they could have because we're killing off characters anyway. So I guess you could have done it, but they chose not to. And because at that point they didn't have any expendable characters left. They already had knew what they were going to do with Polka Dot Man. They didn't really have anybody else. Well,
when they killed like the people and they pulled the starfish
off,
which is
the
like
whole face with him,
like scarred deep. You're like, well, that's just gonna stay right there, and you're just unfortunately dead at this point.
Oh yeah, there's James Gunn did not shy away from splatter gore and some serious body horror in this one. Like I was watching the extended cut, and I was like, it was still weirdly bloodless, and I was kind of like, why didn't we still like when what's his name? Slipknot's head gets blown off. Why didn't some blood come out?
It was like
when Michael Rooker's head blows up. They even get a Jaws the Revenge style bird who, like, I don't know, followed him all the way from the prison to avenge his brother and ate some of his brain.
They do that with Savant, right?
It's Savant. But I like the way it blew up in the back of his head, so there's like still a little bit of his like chin left, It was really graphic. They had some graphic shit in this movie. This ain't for your kids. Don't watch this unless your kid's a weird freak like my kid.
Also, I'm pretty sure it's a goldfinch. Shout out New Jersey State bird. So
goldfinch.
Yeah, goldfinch. But like with the new Suicide Squad, again, we said that we pretty much knew who was going to survive, even if they tried to fake us out.
I actually, with the Peacemaker thing, I knew they had already signed him for a show.
I thought it was
they killed him in the movie. I was like, oh, are we going to do like a Black Widow thing where it's going to be like, what did Peacemaker do before the suicide? Why was he in prison? Yeah. That's what I thought. But then at the end, they show you that he's alive. I'm like, oh, so they really didn't kill anybody.
Can I tell you one thing that I think is going to happen in this, just for fun? I think the first episode, because James Gunn, I think, is directing the first 3.
That's usually the way they do it.
I think the first episode is him going to find Weasel after he kills another group of kids on that island or something like that. I
can see that. Like we've been having child disappearing on Cordo Maltese.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out Cordo Maltese, classic DC fake island that I think originates from the Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller book. Yep. Because I know the first time I ever heard of it was in Batman '89. That's where Vicky Vale did her photo shoot.
Yes, that's where I fucking knew from. I was like, I loved your work, Cordo Maltese. Who was the fake Michael Keaton guy. I don't know what his name is.
Alexander Knox.
Yes. But those two guys, I'm like, I always got those mixed up for a while, growing up, because the curly hair, just the regular ass dudes.
Oh, yeah, when you're young, you're just like, those guys look similar. They're the same person.
John C. Reilly would also be a great Alexander Knox.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, but, in this one, if they did a sequel, it's kind of like, do you bring James Gunn back? Does he want to come back? Or is this a one-off? And
I don't think you could get away with doing another Suicide Squad movie and not having them take on a major superhero. I feel like that's kind of the build. If your idea is like, what if we need to take down Superman, and then you have another movie where it's like, okay, we fight it. We've done a Skybeam, we've done a big monster. What else is left? We need a person to fight against. You know,
I will shoot this out there. And they used him awful. And he didn't really work at all. He hasn't showed up at all until this new Snyder Cut. What if Martian Manhunter went a little off key? And we
absolutely, yeah. He's Superman level. Like he's powerful enough to be a problem. That'd be cool. Or like steal. Like if you haven't established like who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of years. If you haven't established Justice League, you could have the thing where you send a team to infiltrate the headquarters, the space station, Justice League headquarters. You could do like what the Justice League show did and kind of try something like that.
Flyover Film presents.
We always got good ideas percolating.
I know. We just gotta get a big brain on here, like when we got nobody, right? Do we have anyone big?
On our show? We've never had any guests. We don't allow guests.
No, I like the flybys.
You try to have a guest, fuck you up.
Sorry, Joe, and all your Flyover City fears.
Hey, that's a different show. Joe's got his own thing. It's like if I brought back the bunker, I could have guests, but not on Flyover. Not on the main show. Well, I say that, but we're saving it for a celebrity, obviously.
Yeah, dude. So, I'll shout out my celebrity right now. Anthony Michael Hall, hit me up. You could be like nice like Kyle Radar, Green Lantern. If you want to be in DC, one of the persons. I'm
gonna shoot my shot at Danielle Harris. If you want to come on, talk Halloween, talk Hatchet. Why don't you come on, Danielle
Harris? Okay. Well, I'm gonna shoot my shot at Christina Ricci. I love you. And
I love you.
And I love Casper. So.
All right. Well, I think, have we talked this to death yet? I think we hit an hour, so I think we're good to go.
I could keep going, but we should probably cut it off. Out.
We don't rank, so I guess we just need an outro. Where can the people find you? I guess. And how they do outros?
I'm TJ Dex on Twitter. If you haven't seen my latest tweet about the fish from Pinocchio, check it out. It's a really good one.
If you like the insight that TJ showed you on this video, check out his latest tweets.
Thank you. Other than that, you're on Flyover Film YouTube right now. And how are you, Brad?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter also at Hercules. Tweet at me. Encourage me to bring back DVD Bunker.
Yes, please.
Nobody wants it, but I kind of like, seeing Joe have fun outside of the group makes me mad. Yeah. Like, I feel like I want to like take him down a notch. So that's the right reason to do a podcast, right?
I feel like you get some characters on there.
Despite the right reason?
Yes, please.
All right. Take it easy, people. Peace.
Bye.